What is up, family? For today's episode, we have a special guest who will be speaking about one of the most underrated secrets to wealth. Yep, taxes. Where there's extreme financial wealth, there's always a knowledgeable tax strategist scanning through the finances.
Michel Valbrun is a certified public accountant, a speaker, and an award-winning author of Prolific Profit: How Successful Businesses Maximize Profits and Dominate the Market. He is currently the president of Valbrun Group, a professional services firm with its roots in tax planning, outsourced CFO services, and financial consulting. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Now let's get to the show.
First and foremost, welcome to the Family Wealth and Legacy Podcast. My name is Dario, Philippe. This is my lovely wife,
Attorney Bernadine, Philippe.
Okay, so we gave you the premise of the show, but brother, listen, man. So I'm on social media, right? And I'm like kind of scrolling through social media. I'm looking at all the Instagram lives. I'm looking at all the entrepreneurs that are doing their things out there. And then there's this dude that keeps popping up everywhere I turn. I'm like, who is this cat, right? So I'm looking into him. He's talking about taxes, though. Like, it's very unique. He's not talking about what everybody else is talking about. He's not necessarily selling the same things everybody else is selling. So I'm looking at him, and number one, he's a black man. Number two, he's Haitian. So I leaned in a little bit more. I'm like, this is different because I actually saw you on Trishana's show. Trishana has a little thing going on social media, and you kept coming on it. And I'm like, yo, this dude is dropping a lot of heat. So I'm like, when we do this podcast, when we're talking about generational wealth, we're talking about building a legacy for families, we got to have this brother on here. So Michelle, thank you so much for making the time.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
thank you so much, because I actually saw you on YouTube, and I think you did a show with another young lady, and Anthony was interviewing you guys. And when I say you guys dropped so much gem, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? So I went on Instagram and I started scrolling through it, and I showed my husband. He was like, yeah, I know him. Like, I've been following him, but you're awesome. And like my husband said, like the fact that you're Haitian, you come from the same community we do, like it's even more like just interesting, and just excited for you to be on our podcast.
For sure. No, that's love. I appreciate it. It's definitely humbling to know that, what I'm doing is impacting lives and helping people. Yeah, because being Haitian American as well, like, you guys understand, like every time you see a Haitian doing their thing, whether it's, Wyclef or whoever, like, like, yeah, you can get it.
Right.
I want to represent for us too, because I remember that feeling. So for sure.
So it's dope. It's also dope being the fact that there's we're starting to come out on the business aspect as well. So now let's jump right into it, brother. Like, how would you tell us about where you come from? Tell us about why you do what you do. In other words, like, why tax? Why not real estate? Although I know you're real estate, but why not teach about real estate? Why not jump into just solely selling courses? Why was it tax? Like, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, before, like, your background information.
Yeah, it's crazy. My story's crazy, but basically how I got into tax really is just to give you guys a little bit of perspective. So I'm from Miami, Florida. So originally from South Florida, born in Miami.
305?
Yeah, 305, exactly, North Miami, more specifically. And as you can imagine, came from Haitian parents. My parents came from Haiti to the United States, really giving my family, my sisters and I, really an opportunity to be able to live the American dream. And through that, I had some very interesting experiences. One of the most memorable experiences when I was like 8 years old. And I was at home waiting for my mom to come home. She's coming home from late. She was working in Little Haiti at the time. Wow. And I'm waiting for her to come home. And I hear her start opening the door, and I run to the door, right, because I wanted to tell her something. And I see her, and as I'm looking at her, like, she looks like frozen, like she has like this, like a deer in the headlight kind of look. And I'm looking up, and I'm seeing like her, and I look at her head, I look up to the right side of her head, and I see a gun pointed at her head. Oof. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. I'm 8 years old looking at this. I'm trying to process this thing. And then the guy who was behind her, who had the gun pointed to her head, he was like, "These guys so pushy out there," right? And, which means tell the boy to get on the floor. I start going back, and I'm like on the like the balls of my feet. I'm tiptoeing. I'm going back. I'm trying not to make any noise. Trying not to aggravate the situation. I lay down on the floor, and basically, a whole bunch of them start coming inside the house and start pulling out my sisters. Man. My grandmother was visiting in Haiti. My uncle was visiting from Haiti. and had all of us lay down on the floor. And basically what they're trying to do is they found out that my parents, they used to keep a lot of cash in boxes or whatever the case is. So, you know, they found that out, ended up taking like a shoebox full of money, which was what they had, ended up leaving. And, you know, couldn't find out, you know, they had that money in shoeboxes because my dad actually, he didn't want to pay taxes, which is crazy. So that was his way of avoid taxes. And the ironic thing was that he actually owned a tax business, which was even more crazy. So anyways, he ended up getting caught for that, and he ended up going to jail because of that. And ultimately he ended up getting kicked out of the country because he had this big tax bill that he didn't want to pay. So he decided to just opt out and just go to Haiti, get deported to Haiti.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, a lot of things in my mind, I made a couple of decisions in those moments, right? So one of the things that I knew that, you know, whenever I grew up, I wanted to make sure I did things legally and ethically because I saw how it broke up my family. I saw the trauma that we had to experience because of that. And also too, you know, really not to leave my family legacy like that, right? Because my dad, he was doing taxes and obviously he was doing things in the wrong way. So I didn't want my family to go out like that. So really, I knew that I wanted to get into business, and then ultimately tax was just the route that I went through. So when I went to school, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and knew that accounting was the language of business. And, you know, just through the years, I ultimately found myself right back, you know, at the base, which is tax. And that's kind of what I did. And then ultimately too, when I was in school, I had this experience because I was volunteering for a free tax preparation company called Vita, right? It's a nonprofit. I was doing the taxes, and I realized that as I was working through the tax return, when I was completed with the tax return, one of the people I was working with, they turned to me and said, "Yo, how do I save money in the future on taxes?" And I froze. I didn't know what to tell them. I didn't have a good answer for them. So I realized that, you know, even though I went to one of the top accounting schools in the country, University of Florida, for accounting, I still didn't really understand the taxes. I still don't understand how to help people proactively save money on taxes. And through that experience, I, you know, invested thousands of dollars in myself, going to conferences, seminars with the top tax experts in the country to learn this stuff. And I realized that, you know, even someone out, and I'm a CPA, right? Even CPAs don't understand the tax code as the way they should help business owners and investors. So I knew that as a CPA, right, who supposedly knows all this information about accounting and tax, I knew if I didn't know it, you know, no one else really understood it. No one else really knew it. So it really became my mission to like, yo, let me help our people specifically understand this tax thing, understand this accounting thing, and make sure that they're right. So, you know, they don't have to experience the same things I did when I was younger. And also, you know, be able to be in a position to where they're able to create generational wealth, which, you know, obviously what you guys talk about. And something I'm really passionate about as well.
Yeah, that's a dope story, brother. And the thing that's really interesting to me, when I was doing some research on your background, I was like, wait a minute. So you tell me that this brother's like introduction to this whole thing was a negative experience. But what's really dope about that is a lot of young men would have been like, you know what, people came into our house and, you know, my mom's at a gunpoint. So that means I'm going to go towards the negative aspect of that. You know, I'm going to make sure that nobody ever does this to my family again. But the thing that's amazing that you saw that as an opportunity to, you know, build something for your family, to do something legitimate and also be the best at it. You know, now I want to jump into the Money Mitch. The Money Mitch situation.
Money Mitch.
What's going on with the
Money Making Mitch?
Money Making Mitch. Let me get it right. Money Making Mitch. What's up with the paid in full name drop, brother? Tell me about that.
Yeah, Money Making Mitch, man. So obviously it comes from the movie Paid in Full. Mekhi Phifer, Cameron, Wood Harrison, classic movie. Dame Dash produced it. And yeah, no, it's interesting growing up. Another quick story, which I don't really share too often, so you guys are about to get an exclusive, but so obviously my name is Michel. Yeah. And when we had that experience with the whole robbery and everything, we ended up moving. We had to like completely move because we didn't want people to come back to the house. Wow. Went to a whole different city, like literally within a week. It's crazy how quickly things move. Like when those kind of situations happen, like literally within a week, we got up and gone. So we ended up moving to a whole different city. And growing up, like at that point, I was like 8 years old, 10 years old, around that time. People made fun of my name, right? It's Michel. People call me Michel. People say I have a girl's name, that kind of stuff, right? So I was dealing with that kind of stuff. And when I moved, I ended up in one of my classes in elementary school. The teacher was going around doing roll call, and they went around, and my last name is Valbrun, so I'm one of the last people, right? So I'm like anxious, and I'm nervous. I'm just like, hey, I don't want to say my name is Michel, because people are gonna make fun of me, and it had this whole. It was such a big deal to me in my head. Looking back on it, it was silly, but when you're 8 years old, 10 years old,
right,
it's everything.
Right. So I had that. They went around, got to my name, and the teacher's like, Michael, Mitchell, mispronounced my name all crazy. And I said, yes, Mitchell, right? And literally from that moment, literally for like, it had to be like over 10 years, I went by the name Mitchell.
Oh, man.
So people from my high school, elementary school, middle school, they still call me Mitchell. They still know me as Mitchell. And because I was someone who always was interested in money, they call me Money Making Mitch. So I would sell CDs, I would sell candy, I would sell different things. So Money Making Mitch, kind of became like a nickname that people gave me, and it stuck. So and also too, because I wanted to pay homage to, just the movie in general,
the culture, right?
Culture too, yeah. And I'm not ashamed of that, because one of the things that I realized too. One thing that I was struggling with, honestly, when I first started off as an entrepreneur and just started my business, I didn't have any examples, in my opinion, right? There was like literally no Black CPAs out there, really doing it. Honestly.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, you know what? And my examples, the people that were doing it, they were very traditional, suit and ties.
Very rigid,
boring. And I was like, that's not my swag. I was doing it, but I was being fake, because that wasn't me. You know what I mean? I'm just someone who's grew up on hip hop. I love to rap. I love hip hop music. I love hip hop culture. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just be myself. And once I did that, then like literally my brand, my name just started taking off, and people resonated with it, because they're just like, yo, this is real, and I can relate to it. So that's where the Money Making Mitch comes from.
It makes sense. And let me tell you, man, you've definitely branded the heck out of this in such a unique way. I saw the 10 tax commandments. Did you see that, B?
They're rap.
Oh my God.
I told him we're gonna reserve some room at the end so he can, recite that rap.
Nah, don't make him do it. Nah, don't do him like that, bro. Bro, how many years has it been since you did that rap?
It's not that long, honestly. I think I did it back in the end of 2020. It's probably like November 2020.
Hey, let him live.
Yeah.
All right. So, just listening to your background, we know you had an entrepreneurial, like trade skill since you were younger, selling candy and CDs. So, like this area, this culture, everybody's in the process of starting their own business. And so I believe having your financial part set up when you're starting a business is like the most important factor in it. And when I think about tax, I always get scared, because I was like, I don't want to owe the IRS. So every time I think about tax, I'm scared. So can you just tell our listeners a little bit about, when you're first starting to own a business, how important it is for taxes to set that up and not wait till the end to set it up?
Yeah, for sure. It's super important, probably the most important thing. And another thing I realized is too, no one really talks about it. People always talk about getting the coins, running up the bag, all this kind of stuff, but no one talks about taxes. And it's really not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And the crazy thing about it is taxes are like literally your biggest expense. Like if you think about it, like when you make money, you pay income tax. When you buy something, you pay sales tax. When you buy a property, you pay property tax. When you sell the property for more than what you pay for, you pay capital gains tax. When you die, right, you pay death tax or estate tax. And you add up all these different taxes, it takes up like 51% of your income. But even bigger than all those taxes I just mentioned is what I call ignorance tax. And ignorance tax is a tax that you pay by not understanding the tax code. When I say ignorance, I don't mean that rude or condescending. Right. If you look up the word ignorance, it just means lack of knowledge, lack of information. So for me, what I try to do, what my focus is making sure that people are educated, have the information so they can avoid paying ignorance tax. The ignorance tax could lead you to going to jail. Ignorance tax could lead you to paying fines and penalties and losing your business and all these different things. So really, at the end of the day, understanding taxes is super key. And as a business owner, entrepreneur, one of the great things is that the tax code actually favors business owners, entrepreneurs, and investors. Because according to, in the eyes of the government, the IRS, business owners are pretty much the backbone of the economy. They help employ people, they provide jobs, they provide services, they provide products, they provide all these things that help people use money and spend money, right? So they can tax that money. So if you're a business owner, investor, it actually benefits you. The tax code actually benefits you. So it's not something to be scared of. And really, as it relates to business owners, there's a lot of things that you all can take advantage of. So like literally the 6 big ways for you to save money on taxes, especially as an entrepreneur, is through deductions. You have retirement, you have insurance, you have legal loopholes, you have like your entity structure. There's even like advanced planning strategies that you can go ahead and put together to help you save money on taxes. So not anything to be worried of. And as a business owner, basically some things that you need to know is, one, making sure that you have good accounting records. So making sure that you're using some kind of software or even a business spreadsheet. QuickBooks is really popular to use, so you can go ahead and use that. And then also, as you're doing your accounting records, making sure that you're keeping good records of your expenses. So as a business owner, there's 4 requirements that the IRS allows you to utilize in order to be able to deduct things for your business. I call those tax-free. So free is an acronym I came up with to be able to experience tax-free deductions, tax-free expenses. So the first part of that free is it needs to be for your business, trade, or profession. So again, if you're in business, you're able to take advantage of those different deductions for your business. R, it needs to be considered regular for your business. The IRS calls that ordinary. So ordinary expenses, just want to look at your business. Going back to our one of my friends, right? One of my friends owns an ice cream shop. So what's regular for her business, not regular for my business. I can't deduct ice cream cones, napkins, refrigerators, spoons, all those kind of things, but she can do that for her business because that's the type of business she owns, right? So that's regular, ordinary for that business. Then you have what's called essential. So essential, the IRS calls that necessary for your business. So what's going to be necessary in order for you to operate your business? That's paying utilities, that's paying rent, that's paying for employees. Those kind of things are considered essential in order for you to make a profit in your business. And last but not least, economical. So it needs to be economical for your business, meaning that it can't be lavish or extravagant for your business. So you want to look at how much money your business is making, and then making sure that you're spending the right size or the right amount of expenses for that business. So for instance, let's say your business only making $5,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for you to be able to write off like a $100,000 vehicle, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that your business makes enough in order for you to justify that money, right? But if your business is making millions of dollars, then if you purchase a vehicle that costs $150,000, like a G-Wagon, then you're able to write that off, right? So that is what you're able to do as it relates to your business. So you want to make sure that you're recording all those things and keeping good records. And then, when it comes tax time, make sure that you're filing your taxes on time, working with the right person in order to help you with your taxes, working with someone that actually understands your business, your industry, and can help you proactively save money on taxes, which is the key. Like proactive is extremely key when it comes to saving money on taxes.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said at the end as far as, working with someone who knows your business, because I think that's a situation where, we can't just go off and just get any Joe Schmo to, come do taxes for my business if he doesn't really know what my business is and what I can save on. So how important is it to find somebody that's in your industry, and how do a business owner look for a tax professional, that will be fit for their business?
Good question.
Yeah, that's extremely important. So like I shared with you, when I was going through my journey and starting off my business, I didn't understand how to help people save money proactively on taxes, because the school, at least from my experience, when I went to school, it pretty much prepared me to pass the CPA exam and work in corporate America. Wow. So with that, I came up with an acronym because, like I said, even CPAs are not enough to be able to help you save money on taxes. So I came up with an acronym to help people identify, okay, who is someone I should work with, or some criteria that I should consider when it comes to identifying an individual to work with on taxes, right? So I call that the tax elites, All right, so LEADS is another acronym that I came up with to help you all determine the criteria to identify who you need to work with. The first part of that, LEADS, is education. So did they actually go to school for accounting and tax? If they did, that's a positive thing. If they didn't, that could be a potential red flag, because that individual may not be as committed to the career in the industry. So you want to look into that. Another thing with that too is, one thing before I even mention that is, like, when it comes to people doing your taxes, there's actually no real rules or regulations in order for someone to do your tax. Like, if you look at the H&R Block website, basically the criteria to be able to work in H&R Block is you need to be 18 years and older. You don't need a GED or a high school diploma. You need to pass their or take their like income tax course, whatever the case is, and then you can do people's taxes for them, right? Because there's no rules really around.
No wonder.
Yeah, right. So you literally could be anyone. For the most part, do your taxes, right? You don't have to go to school. You don't, like I said, you don't even have to have a GED. So, education. So you want to make sure they actually went to school for accounting and tax. L, legal representation. Can they represent you in front of the IRS? So that's going to be important in the case that you get, if in any event that you get audited. CPA, also what's called an enrolled agent, has the authority to be able to do that. So that is something for you to consider as well. I is integrity. So are they following the tax code with integrity? Are they doing things legally and ethically? That's important to me, obviously, because of my background story. And also too, you don't want to work with someone that's telling you to be able to write off things that you should be able to write off. So you just want to, again, just kind of stay above board and make sure you're doing things the right way. T is training. So are they constantly getting trained up, learning about the latest and greatest tax information? There's a whole bunch of changes going on that Joe Biden's looking to make as it relates to the tax code, so making sure that you're working with someone that is going to be knowledgeable and be able to provide that information to you in a timely fashion. And again, being proactive, that's the key thing when it comes to all of this stuff. And then E, experience. So how much experience do they have? 1, do they have experience with your specific industry? And 2, years of experience. So how long have they been doing taxes for? Typically, I would recommend working with someone who's been in the industry for at least 10 years. That is a good benchmark. I've been in the game for over 10 years. So you want to be able to use that criteria to kind of help you interview someone or identify who you need to work with. And don't be afraid. A lot of people are afraid to ask those questions because they're just like, oh, I feel like I'm, being too aggressive but it's like, no, like, this is your money. You're dealing with the government, so take it seriously and don't be afraid to ask those questions. And again, if someone is actually good at what they do, then they should not be intimidated or offended by you asking those questions.
Right. Michel, question. How many people like you do you know, by the way? How many CPAs that are knowledgeable and understand tax strategy in your industry that you're fluent with?
There's a few. There's a couple that I can name off the top of my head. But just honestly, just a few. But not
because the reason why I asked that is because we actually had a bad experience. Our first year married, right? We hear about how people get married. There's all these tax incentives. So we went to, should we name him? H&R Block. We went to H&R Block. We was like, yo, we about to come up. Man, let me tell you, when the guy sat us down, it was an older gentleman, of course. He sat us down. He didn't ask us no questions. He didn't ask if we had businesses, if we had LLCs or anything. He was like, okay. He sat down, took our W-2s, wrote down a few things. We were like, we about to bank.
No,
when we got the check, how much was it?
We owe money.
Listen, we owe money. And then like, I don't want to say it on camera. So I say,
we're asking you, we're sending this just to a few people to send us some questions in relation to generational wealth. Like, ask me, what is it? Is it real? Ask about legacy, ask about marriage, everything marriage. Everything marriage, please. Everything marriage. Like, keep it 100, keep it real. Ask us questions. We need questions because we just don't want to do a podcast rambling and talking. We want to answer real questions that we think people got. So for the beginning, for the first season of this podcast that we're recording right now, we're like maybe 2 to 3 episodes in by the time you get this. It's not out yet, but I'm asking you, send me some questions. Use video ask. We're not doing text anymore. So you're going to record a 2-minute question, a 2-minute video asking a question about legacy, money, wealth, generational wealth, family, marriage, whatever, relationship, crazy, not crazy, whatever, good, bad, and ugly. Record it and it will be played on the show. That's just a heads up. All right.
How much we got that year?
I don't
Listen, we didn't get anything. We didn't get much at all. Like tears, like a tear rolled down her eye. Like, yo, they lied to us. And it wasn't until we actually found a very good tax guy that we actually started coming up and started using our businesses and write-offs and all that. So the reason why I asked you that question, to be honest, is because you might want to start a database. Because I'm telling you, we're in the era of business owners and entrepreneurs, and a lot of people are looking for guys like you. So maybe you should start putting together a database of men and women just like you who are out here killing it, who understand tax strategy. You put hundreds of thousands of dollars into your education, you know? So you want to gather these guys and then just have a referral list, or maybe, you know, turn it into a real app or something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate that. And that's dope. That's a dope concept. I'm actually working on something very, very similar to that. And yes, your experiences, I pretty much, I didn't even know about your story, and I literally told you right before.
Yeah. You called them out. You called them out already.
Yeah, exactly. That type of people. And it's unfortunately, it's very common. And what a lot of people are trained to do, tax preparers, they're just trained to use software. They basically take your paperwork and put it in the computer. So that's another thing too. I just want to make sure that another positive sign is that someone is asking you questions. Because really, before I even help anyone, like I do like a full diagnosis. Like I literally am asking you all different types of questions. It's like a doctor, like you know, and this is the thing too, right? When you go to a doctor's office, the doctor can't just give you a prescription, right? Because that's malpractice. When you go to the doctor's office, they're going to ask you how much you weigh. They're going to ask you about your family history. They're going to take your temperature. They're going to take your blood pressure. They're going to ask you questions. And it's a deep dive. And before they tell you what you need to do, they're going to diagnose you, right? So if someone's not diagnosing you, then it's basically you're going to have a malpractice, meaning that you're going to end up overpaying the taxes. You're going to have issues down the line. So yes, one of the things that I'm working on right now is I just launched a program helping accounting and tax professionals be able to create a 6-7-figure accounting business. So they're going to be under my training, my guidance, my coaching, and I'm going to make sure that they actually do right by people. So I'm actually gonna, with the people that go through the program, that go through the full process, I'm going to go ahead and pretty much give them a certification, elite certification, just so people have peace of mind, know like, yo, these people actually are just as good, if not better than me. Because at the end of the day, I want more tax professionals, more accounting professionals to be able to, you know, help more people. Like there's 7 billion people in the world. I can't work with everyone. I don't want to work with everyone. So, really creating a movement and a community of people who are like-minded, who are looking to actually help their clients proactively save money on taxes and giving them the right information.
Now, do you have anything or any course or booklet where like the person, let's just say they're not in business, they don't want to go into business, it's just the W-2 workers, like what basic knowledge should they have about taxes? Because, you know, a lot of the times we know we have to file taxes because that's the rule, right? So we just find any tax preparer and we go to them and say, hey, file my taxes, but don't really ask any questions or that sort. So how can you help like the lay person who doesn't know anything? Like what education can they get?
Yep. So like I said, the tax code is geared towards business owners and investors. But as far as like a W-2 person is concerned, really their biggest tax savings is going to come from itemized deductions and retirement and some tax credits. So like child tax credit, if you make a certain amount or if you're within a certain amount, you can receive what's called a child tax credit for having children. So you do get a benefit from that. Retirement, so maxing out your 401k and your retirement accounts at work is going to be beneficial for you, right? So you go ahead and contribute to that. That could be, you know, a tax savings or that could be a deduction for you up to like $19,500, depending on the tax year that you're doing it in. And then also itemized deductions, like I said. So itemized deductions are going to be some additional deductions that you can take if they exceed what's called the standard deduction. So the standard deduction is a deduction that everyone receives. Business owners, everybody receives a standard deduction. That is basically an automatic deduction that you receive from the government. I think they just increased it to $12,950 for the tax year 2022 to adjust for inflation. And that's that's basically a deduction that you get automatically. Now, if you have itemized deductions and your itemized deductions exceeds your standard deductions, then you can use that amount. So your itemized deductions is another acronym I came up with. Coincidentally, it's MITCH. All right, so MITCH. So with itemized deductions, so itemized deductions are going to be your medical and dental expenses. So up to a certain percentage, you're able to deduct for medical and dental expenses. I is going to be interest that you pay during the year. The biggest one is going to be that mortgage interest. So if you own a home, the government gives you a benefit to be able to deduct the mortgage interest that you pay to incentivize people to become homeowners. T is going to be taxes paid. So taxes paid during the year, property taxes, some other taxes are able to be deducted from your tax return as itemized deductions. C is charitable and cash contributions to a 501c3. So giving money back to nonprofits is going to be beneficial for you. And then H is going to be help. Help is going to be related to casualty losses. So let's say your house catches on fire, or someone steals like a expensive jewelry, like a Rolex or something like that. A portion of that could be deducted for tax purposes.
Awesome. Michel, what are you taking clients right now? Like what would someone have to do in order to hire you as a CPA?
Yeah, so I am taking clients. So if you guys are interested in working with me, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me on social media. So my social media handle is pretty much the same across the board. It's at Michel Valbrun, so MICHELVALBRUN. You could click the link in my bio, and there should be a link to go ahead and book a call with me. So that is available for you. Go check out my website, valbrungroup.com, to be able to connect with me there, to be able to work with me. And yes, so I am I'm obviously not the cheapest, but you know, again, if you're ready to and if you're looking to actually save money on taxes and have things done right the first time around, you can definitely, reach out to me.
Right. And you have some courses as well too, right?
Yeah, I saw Tax Wealth 101.
Yeah. So
right?
For someone who's just now getting into business or want to learn about business, because we just started with the new year, so maybe someone is looking into business, they can look at some of the courses right now just to train or just gain some knowledge about taxes. So tell us about those courses.
Yep. So I have a course, Tax Wealth 101, that's basically breaking down pretty much everything you need to know as it relates to taxes for business owners, investors, and just consumers in general. So you can check that out. I'll drop the link, and you guys can probably share it with your community. So I'll give you
sure.
And then I also have a free ebook for you all to check out. So how to save $10,000 to $100,000 in tax legally, ethically. That's a free ebook you can check out. A whole bunch of game in there. And then I'm also looking to release some more courses later this year. So just be on the lookout for that. But again, if you follow me on Instagram, is where I'm most active. You'll see that information. I'm about to go really heavy on YouTube too. So you'll see a whole bunch of content on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I mean, I just like how you go ahead and advertise how the tax code is for business, investors, like entrepreneurs, because sometimes especially people in our community, because when we were raised to like, hey, go to school and go get a job.
That's it.
And so like owning a business or being an entrepreneur was like not part of not the language
at all.
And so it's so funny how you're plugging that, because it's so important. Like that, one of the reasons we have this podcast is because we're one about family and building generational wealth. And one of the things of building generational wealth is owning your own business, because you get to maximize how much you make and your time, and you get to pass on that legacy to your children, your children's children. So I really appreciate that. You're plugging that in. It's big. For people who's like on the fence of, hey, should I own a business or should I not own a business?
Yeah.
And like the question I wanted to ask you, by the way, is how did your family feel? Well, you know what? That may not be a good question because you started out with entrepreneurs, right?
Well, I actually started off with both. So
okay.
I worked with everybody and anyone. And then, I was just like, I can only do so much for, a W-2 worker. So I was just like, let me focus on entrepreneurs. Because really, honestly, if someone's just a W-2, it's not that difficult. And honestly, they may be able, if they make less than 100,000, we may be able to just get away with doing it on TurboTax, honestly.
Mm.
So that's just my personal opinion on that. But yeah, no, as I got more into the career and field, I began really focusing on business owners and investors, because that's where I can make the most impact.
That's great. That's great. Michel, I know you got to run. I appreciate you taking this time with us to sit down and just, open up this whole tax strategy and tax and CPA world to us. But before we go, I mean, bro, I've noticed that your brand has like just blown the past few years. I just wanted you to give us some advice as to all these people who are starting businesses, entrepreneurs, like what is the best thing they can do right now to really blow up the brands? Is it interviews? Is it you being on social media? Like what's been working for you, in other words?
Yeah, really it's a couple of things. So the first thing is, I would say the biggest thing is just be yourself. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, it's going to be difficult to wake up every day trying to pretend to be someone else. So I would say, number one, just be yourself. People may try to copy you, people may try to imitate you, but there's only one you. So I would just say continue to be yourself. I would say one thing, especially accountants, I think one of the things that helped me really be able to dominate the space, I call myself top two, not two, tax king, because accountants are just scared to invest in marketing and advertising. Like, don't be afraid to invest in marketing and advertising. They think that's they don't understand that it's really there's a significant ROI, right? The more that you invest in yourself, you guys didn't see me by accident. You guys saw me because I spent a lot of money advertising and promoting my business. And then through that, opportunities came up. So obviously, like, because I was seen, you guys heard about me, and that opened the door to be able to do this interview. Other people saw me. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself. And then also investing in yourself, not only investing in your brand, but also investing in you as a person, right? You're basically your biggest and most important investment. So investing in coaching, masterminds, programs, all those kind of things really help me to be able to take my life, my business to the next level. So, those are a couple of things that I think are going to be helpful for people. So, sure.
Awesome. Mr. Michel Valbrun, brother, I thank you so much for this opportunity. Bernadine, anything else you want to say to the brother?
I mean, I don't know. Do we have enough time for the rap? It's up to you.
I'm not gonna do it to him. I'm not because bro, every other interview you do, they get you on. I'm not doing it. I'm not. All right, listen, go to YouTube, World Star Hip Hop, type in his name, 10 tax commandments, and he's gonna spit it on you, okay? Because right now, our brother gotta go, but appreciate it.
It's all love. I can do it. I got a little bit of time.
Okay.
And honestly, too, no, it's interesting. Just a little bit on the 10 tax commandments. So I did the 10 tax commandments because I was really into hip hop. I actually wanted to be a rapper for a little bit. So I was like really heavy into rapping and practicing rapping, and obviously inspired by the late and great B.I.G., Notorious B.I.G., I think one of the greatest rappers. So I wanted to, as I really began to grow and got to a place where I felt comfortable in my business, making good money, I pretty much was my authentic self. I was like, yo, let me go ahead and do this rap. So don't mind doing it. I actually enjoy doing the rap because it usually catches people off guard, and I'm gonna keep going with it too. So I'm actually one thing just to let your audience know. Actually, probably my first time really announcing it, but I'm going to have a 10 Tax Commandments book dropping this year. Nice. So be on that. So I already have a mixtape out for the music video, obviously on World Star. Okay. But yes, Tax Commandments. Let's get it. All right, check in. We'll do acapella. Check, and it's based on Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments, just so you guys get the beat and the rhythm. All right, so check it. Yo, I've been in the game for years. It made me an animal. There's rules to this code. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track. The feds off your back. Un nombre uno. Let the IRS know how much dough you hold. Because, evasion breeds penalties, especially if that prep messed up. Watch your tax go up. Number 2, document expenses you could prove. Don't you know them boys treat lying like violence taken from your highness? I done seen mad cats and chicks come for their schemes and tricks. Number 3, go form an LLC. A lawyer set that up. Properly draft up. Dina in the state up. Yup, for them big bucks. They'll get the paperwork cleaned up. Word up. Number 4, I know you heard this before. Always rely on your CPA guy. Number 5, never tax prep where you rest at. I don't care if they do it free, tell them leave. Number 6, let's have advanced credit, debt it. They think they're doing you a favor, no, forget it. 7, this rule is so underrated. Keep your personal and business completely separated. Business and blood don't mix like politics with no tricks. Find your business serious risk. Number 8, know the date your taxes due. If you miss a deadline, they'll be coming for you. Number 9 should have been number 1 to me. If you start a business, stay away from hobbies. If they thinking it's a hobby, they ain't trying to listen. You be stressing in the kitchen when the letters start hitting. Number 10, a strong word corporation, strictly for businessmen, not for freshmen. If you ain't got investors, then say hell no, because they gonna want their money, rain, sleet, hell, snow. For all these rules, you have mad bread to break up. If not, 24 years on the wake up. Flow hit your temple, watch your frame shake up. Caretaker did your makeup. When you pass, bye-bye. I hope you break up a lot of cash. Beachfront in Jamaica with the Michelin star chef, the hooker steak up. Gotta go, more returns to make up. Word up, Tax King.
All right.
Bars, bro.
That was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. Yes. Thank you so much for this interview, brother. We had to do this. You're our first interview. We've been doing show just me and her sitting down talking, but like you're the first person we wanted to have on the show.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. You delivered. Like, bro, listen, I had a list of things to go through. He hit every point by himself. You know what I mean? So you can tell he's really polished.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. Thanks.